Morning all, and welcome back to Chet Chats. Happy February. This is our first segment in this new month. We are celebrating Black History Month. So with that, I'm going to pass this on over to Dad so he can give some special shout outs, thank yous, etc.
Good morning, Sha.
Good morning.
Yes, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the sponsorship, Changing Lives at Home, HefeHair.com, JewelsByJAlex.com, LACruiser.com, Premier Tagging Title, as well as, but not least, Synergy. Before I get started, Sha, I'd like to give a special shout out to my friend Tony Roberts, Between Me and God. His personal conversation is a good book. It's very interesting to me. So please, people, get out there and support him in his endeavors. Also, I'd like to take this time to send special prayers out to a great childhood friend of mine and his family, Mr. Jay Anderson and Keisha Anderson, Jasmine Madison, and the entire Anderson family. May you recover quickly, family, and may God continue to bless you and your family as you recover quickly. I love y'all dearly, and thank y'all for all that's chiming in now. So, Sha, you ready?
Yeah.
Because I had to get that off because that was extremely important. Me and this guy have been friends since I was 5 years of age and whatnot. So, again,
we're old now too, so
don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, that's a long friendship. So you ain't gotta go with the old part though. You ain't gotta go with that. So what's on your mind today, young lady?
Well, as many know, hi guys, welcome to our show. Thanks for tuning in live. As many know, many probably don't know, yesterday was Dad's anniversary of being home from prison, which is super exciting. I call it ESCO Day. That's my little hashtag for the day. So it's super, super cool because a lot of people also don't know his dad actually got home earlier than he was supposed to for being released for good behavior, which is also super cool. So I personally like to just celebrate the day as a day of like.
Can I tell you? Well, not exactly good behavior, but I followed the rules, and they came out. Eric Holder and Obama came out with a 2-point sentence reduction.
But also good behavior.
Well, somewhat played in it when they went through, how you interact in prison.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got the 2-point reduction.
Well,
yeah.
In short, he was released early.
Yeah,
so,
yes.
With that being said, today's conversation or the topic that I picked is called Parenting from Prison.
Wow.
So, per usual, all of my questions.
Wow. Carlos, yes. Go ahead. Wow.
So I guess like my first initial question is, what is it like, I guess, parenting from prison and not being physically present? Again, for those of you who don't know, Dad was not physically present in Chelsea Cheddar, my life, for about a 10-year span. We would visit on weekends, but having him physically present in everyday life.
Yes. First and foremost, I'd like to thank God for getting us to this point in the journey. And I also, to answer your question, it was extremely difficult for me because I tried to, anybody that know me, I was trying to be an effective parent in your daily lives every day, every single day, not come and go, just come on birthday parties or whatnot. So it was extremely difficult for me and other constituents and comrades in prison that truly try to parent. Because anybody that knows the system itself is set up for you not to have effective relationships with people and family members and whatnot. And anybody that think different, you have your opinion to that. But for me, you get a 15-minute phone call in a given time. And anybody know if you get 300 minutes a month, let me start there. And except for Christmas and Thanksgiving, they give you an extra 100 minutes, and each minute costs you 23 cents a minute to use the telephone. So right then and there is a burden on most people that's trying to parent because the average job is paying like 17 cents a day.
Wow.
Yes, that's what we got paid in federal prison. I can't speak for state prisons, but in federal prisons, I average 17 cents a day. So now if you're talking 23 cents a minute to use the phone, if you can see, the math don't even add up there financially. And then try to have full conversations with in my particular instance, 3 young children, trying to rear them into young adulthood was extremely difficult because that's only averaging like 10 minutes a day on the phone. Yeah. So some days I couldn't talk to y'all for some days, and then not including if you on lockdown. Lockdown is another situation. Anybody know about this, where then you don't have access to the phones because the phone is considered a privilege in prison. It's not a mandatory right that they give you. So to me, parenting was extremely difficult. I mean, in trying to do it on a regular basis for me, and it was hard because I wasn't in your day-to-day operations every day, as well as when I got to another prison later, I was able to get emails, and that kind of improved it a little bit as far as communicating, but it wasn't back and forth emails like we do today, texting. It would take a couple hours. I would type it, then y'all would, because it goes through a filter, I guess, that the government used to make sure you're not trying to send any other messages to the person that's receiving the message, and then they would type it back. And then it'd take me a couple more hours. So I'm running back and forth to this building trying to get y'all emails on a timely fashion. Then between 10-minute movements sometimes. So it all depends on what facility you were at. And things change at various facilities. But for me and anybody else that's chimed in, Lowe's, Larry, Harvey, y'all have any please feel free to chime in on this. But for me, parenting was extremely difficult from prison. And because now you're talking, you experienced this several times. You had 1 minute left to be, and then you're trying to say, "But I had the baby as a boy," that type of commercial type thing. And it's like, I'm trying to speak as fast as possible, trying to hear you as fast as possible, and then the phone disconnect. Then you had to wait some more time to get back on the phone, depending on which prison you were at. On average, it was 15 to 30-minute wait to get you back on the phone again. Yeah. So by that time, you could have been gone to sleep, depending on what time zone I was in, so it varied so dramatically where it was extremely difficult for me parenting from prison. Now, I can't speak for everybody because some people might have been a little easier. They might have been closer. It wasn't like y'all was around the corner for me. I was in literally different states every time. I wasn't in the state of Maryland where I got incarcerated from. So for me, it was extremely difficult because I missed a portion of y'all day-to-day operations. And anybody know to reinforce something positive, you have to be there to keep doing it. So I didn't have the time to do it every day. And I'd like to thank your mother and everybody else that helped rear y'all. And again, I'm going to say this several times throughout our broadcast because I was gone for 10 years. So I didn't do the heavy lifting as it relates to the physical of y'all day to day, taking y'all back to school. Because we used to play them games every morning going to school. You want to elaborate on that?
The game or the letter game.
And go ahead, explain what that was about so they can understand how difficult parenting was for me from prison because I couldn't play this particular game anymore.
This is like the greatest, worst game ever. On the way to school, which was probably about easily like a 25 to 30-minute car ride, we would start with letter A, and you would say a word, but it couldn't be a pronoun. So it can be a name or a state or, you all know what pronouns are, I'm assuming. Couldn't be a pronoun, and you have to go from A to Z, all the way through letter Z by the time we got to school, like we pulled up and we're getting out of the car.
And you couldn't say the same word.
And you couldn't repeat the word twice.
So it's 4 people playing this game, and you can't repeat that word twice.
Correct,
okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm just letting the people know.
And then with that, on top of that, Tuesdays and Thursdays were what were called vocabulary days, where you had to have 1 or 2 new words that you had to write down and identify what part of speech it was and use it in a sentence too. I will say, though, my vocabulary is extraordinary now.
See, so you ain't understand that there.
Highly recommended game if you guys are traveling somewhere and need that to go.
And what about how y'all wasn't able to watch TV on certain days, period, or the phone or any of that?
Vocabulary days too. So,
right.
Yeah.
So again, now take that all away from me. I'm not there every day, so I don't know if y'all getting these same lessons because now it's more so that is either your mom or a neighbor or a friend or family member starting to take y'all to school. And I don't know if they had the same energy or time frame that I did while taking y'all to school with these particular games and lessons of life and whatnot. So again, like Carlos said in his particular comment, especially if you and the mother or father not together, I believe it makes it more extremely harder to parent from prison. However, family and friends on Facebook, and I know we all go through things and all, But if possible, if you are in that particular situation, try to put down your emotions as it relates to each other and think of your children or child or, or collectively, and try to get the best outcome for them, because it's now not about you anymore, because you chose to be a parent with your children. And don't get me wrong, I'm not the perfect parent, nor I strive to be a better parent, but I know the importance of dropping certain emotions as it relates to the relationship with each other and looking out for the child's sake or children's sake better than y'all's sake. And please, it's not an easy task for anybody to parent, period. Forget prison. Let's just talking generally day-to-day parenting. That's in my opinion.
Y'all superheroes.
Yeah, that's extremely hard, So I commend all y'all superhero parents. Children, if you're listening to the broadcast, and normally I don't have too many children, but parents, share this with your children that they need to give y'all more credit that's due. Don't get me wrong, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, that's all cool. But they better start looking at their parents or parent to be that Superman or Wonder Woman in their life. And don't get me wrong, comic books are cool for people that love them, but I'm just saying the importance of really embracing the sacrifices that many parents make on a daily basis that your child do not know about. Forget prison. Let's take prison out of that equation. I'm talking about on a daily basis that parents make to make their child life better. So children, young adults, be responsible and mindful of that. There is so many sacrifices that you may never know or see from your parents and people that's rearing you into young adulthood and in adulthood that are being made. So be mindful of that when you slick off your mouth. Just be mindful. I'm just saying. So again, for me, Shai, getting back to what you stated, how did you feel about me having to be gone, and when did it really set into you that me being a parent was going to happen from behind a wall or gate or fence, depending on what prison system you were in?
That's a big question. Let's see.
Because you was rather young when this transpired.
Yeah, I was in 5th grade, so 10.
Okay.
This is when Dad was in Ohio. That was like the first place that we went, so like dropping you off in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I remember like coming back home and it was like weird. It was like in my mind, I guess, like being a kid, you understand a lot of things, but you don't necessarily like understand the full capacity of everything. So for me, it was like, oh, like he'll be back like, soon. And soon for me was like it wasn't an actual like time frame. Like even hearing like how long you were going to be gone and not being able to like compute those numbers in my head was just like, okay, like that's soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like coming back and I was like, okay, it's what it is. It's just like you're just in a different place living at the time. So it took me probably a while. I would say it's a very big adjustment, and I'm comparing like being a teen with you not being home versus being like a kid and you not being home.
Mm-hmm.
Was like different sections of life too. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think it's harder when you're younger. And for those of you who know, like I have a younger brother too, so he was even younger than I was when all this was happening. So being a kid, it's like it's hard when you're little and you're not used to not having both parents in your household. Because I will say, like Dad and Mom are both very involved parents in like Chelsea Chat and my life. So having two parents who go to your dance recitals and who go to your games and who go to parent-teacher conferences, etc., to go into one parent is like shell-shocking almost. So I think for me, it took honestly probably me to middle school, probably to like 6th grade to realize like, oh, like I don't have two parents anymore to do all of these things with. And then going to a Catholic school, there's a whole lot of extra, like another layer of, to be like completely honest and frank, like judgment there with
Mm-hmm.
having these Catholic families who have, both parents there, and then being like, oh, well, like, what does your dad do? And like having to be like, oh, well, my dad's in prison now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely think middle school was probably the hardest. And then adolescence with going through like puberty was definitely a challenge too. In general, it's like what you're saying. It's like parenting from prison is hard. Being the kid on the outside with having a parent in prison is, I think, equally as difficult and challenging.
Oh.
Even with the communication that we had, because Dad was and I know like not a lot of parents who are in prison are active parents from where they are. Like I'm assuming not a lot. they kind of just like tap out. It's like, oh, well, I'm here now. I can't do anything necessarily for you. But dad was not that kind of parent. So it's like what he's saying. He did call very frequently, even if it was like for 2 seconds to say, like, how was your day? And there were lots of letters. And then once there were emails too. But even with all of that, it's not the same as having you home.
Yes. And again, I apologize for that. And people, I know anybody that's going through anything, it can be difficult, especially in parenting, because oftentimes there's no playbook that we use that we had to follow growing up. I mean, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for the mass majority of Facebook family and friends, but I didn't have a playbook. And anybody that knew me, I grew up with a single parent myself, which was my mom. And then my sister basically reared me because my brother was so much older. He was already in the streets. So with that being stated, I didn't have a playbook. So as I progressed in life, I always knew I didn't want to be the parent that my father was to me and my siblings. However, I became that parent indirectly by some of the choices I made in life to better your life and to better my life. No, I can't sit up here and say I didn't enjoy the fruits of my labor as well. But in all sincerity, the ironic part, I wind up becoming an absentee father physically to y'all as well. Now, I'm glad that y'all understood. Y'all might didn't understand everything at the time, but y'all understood some of my decision making on why I decided to do that. I didn't wake up one day like my father did and left my mom. And again, I'm not passing judgment on that at any parent, but it's still never too late to be a parent. It's still never too late to try, to effectively be a parent. Even if you walked out on your child life years ago, it's still time, especially if they alive and breathing. That's just a sidebar. I'm getting back to this. You know how I go off, Shai. You know I go off. But on the same token, I wind up being the man that I didn't want to be as it relates to not being in your daily activities. And with that came a huge penalty on my end, because now I don't know what's going on. I got to wait to call, so some anxiety set in on me. Yeah. I can't speak for everybody in prison. It's anxiety, depression, or whatever. But I think I went through all these periods of time because no amount of money that I ever made is going to replace me missing y'all cotillions, me missing y'all graduating from the 4th grade to the 8th grade, through high school, through y'all first breakup, through y'all driving tests. So all the money in the world can't replace these things as it relates to events. I can't get back. I can only move forward from now. And I'm glad that we're healing in a positive direction, moving forward and bettering our relationship with you as well as your siblings. But on the same token, I can't get these things back. You can't get these things back. Right. And people, please try not to live in the past, not even with this parenting part, but just in general, because you can't get it back. You gotta move forward, sit down with each other and discuss open and honestly what's going on in your mind and where the breakdown occurred at with parenting or with each other in relationships as well. So for me, I looked up and was like, wow, they gonna keep you, people. Anybody know they gonna keep you. So don't think you just gonna wake up and they gonna say, oh, no, you can go now. Forget, excuse me, Sean, that was a sidebar. So anyway, getting back in all sincerity, I appreciate everybody that participated in the continuous reign of y'all into young adulthood. I thank God foremost for all the blessings seen and unseen. And anybody that know where I come from and how the choices I made, they understand some of it. But for those who don't understand it, I'm just here to openly express with my daughter. As again, she picks whatever topics on her mind. And this is a daring topic to me because literally yesterday made 3 years for me being back into society on a regular. And I'm still on parole, probation they call it. But I've been home 3 years now, and yesterday was a big day for me because I get to reflect on how far I've come in life and where I'm trying to get to. So anybody that understands these things is important. Young men that's incarcerated and young men that's not incarcerated. Be a parent to your children. I know you might have grew up without one. And sorry, Sha, I'm getting off a little bit, but I got to get this off because it's important to me. And I think people that's listening. If you're not being a parent to your child, start today possibly. Call, pick up the phone, make amends. And again, you're not always going to agree. And of course, the mass majority of people in my neighborhood grew up with one parent in the household. And normally it was the mother, unfortunately. I think maybe 2 families had a father and mother in my neighborhood. And I'm not going to give their names out because I don't, put people on blast. But they were the only families that I knew that had 2-parent households. But the rest of us grew up in single family household or adoption. And, a lot of people up the street, they were adopted people, adopted family, foster parents as I got older to learn about that. But parenting is extremely hard, period, in my opinion, because I don't never think you stop being a parent no matter how old your child get. I don't believe it stops. I don't, even though by the government standards, 18, you can put them out your house. You can do this to them, you can do that to them. But if you're trying to be an effective parent, in my opinion, it never stops until you go into another realm of existence. And from prison, it was extremely hard. And then my friends that know me, that knew me, and that grew to know me, they knew the importance of me trying to continue rearing y'all into young adulthood was extremely important for me because, again, we all make mistakes, but I pray that you would never go down the path that I chose to go down to with a profession of earning money. And thank God y'all didn't, because I know so many family and friends, once the father or woman left to go to prison, the whole household took a spill, not in the most positive direction, and it took years and years for some of these families to rebound. And those who are continue to rebound, as I am myself, I commend you. I commend any man and woman that get together and have a child. And can I chime in on a segment? Because I didn't know this when I was young, and thank you for giving me most of the air today. I appreciate it. But laying down with a particular female out of lust, and vice versa, women, I can't speak for y'all because I'm not a woman, but you might want to know who your sexual partner is beyond sex, because a lot comes with that. Because anytime you lay down, there's a potential pregnancy. I don't care if you're using condoms, birth control, it's a potential pregnancy that can happen. And then from that pregnancy, some hard decisions are going to be made. I'm not judging whether you choose whatever form, but potentially abortion or adoption or whatever. All I'm just saying, choices are going to be made. We're making daily choices on everything we basically do. And these choices normally have a cumulative effect as you get older or into any particular subject matter. So be mindful of who you may sleep with. Don't get me wrong, anybody that know me, I'm telling you, yes, I'm going to just leave it at that. But I wasn't always mindful because I was acting out of lust instead of out of deeper thought and consideration of that young lady as well as myself as time progressed. But now getting back to parenting, that I just know that from prison or anywhere, parenting is difficult. And those who are chiming in, I'm sorry that I'm not able to read everything y'all posting right now, is because this is a dead topic for me. It's truly dead, because I think we need to have this dialogue, and so y'all can see where my child in particular come from, because she had 2 siblings and they're not able to join the show right now, as it relates to parenting from prison and how it affected them and the choices. Because oftentimes when I was younger, I didn't think of some of how my choices when I was younger will affect y'all later. I didn't. I'm being honest. I'm just thinking, well, I'm going to make me an empire, and I'm going to make sure my family all right, and anybody with me going to be all right, and so forth and so on. But some of my choices did not pan out to be the best particular choice at that time and whatnot. So again, Sean, how did it, when you mentioned school, were you truly, how did it affect you going from a 2-parent, I think you mentioned it already, but 2-parent household to being a single, and then you're going through all these private schools and Catholic schools and stuff?
I feel like I need like a week's worth of time to actually answer the entire question. And there's a point where it just becomes normal, you being physically absent is just that's my new normal. Right, and it's an adjustment. And I will say what I am thankful for most for you and Mom is that you guys even though you guys weren't together,
Mhm.
both physically and like married anymore, was
Right.
that the fact that you guys still decided to co-parent together and keep us as, we call ourselves the Ohana Five. That's just like our, what we call a family in general. So for
That's
you
our
guys,
claim.
right, for you
Right.
guys to keep that going, even with you not there, I think
Excuse me.
was definitely helpful. There was also a span of time, like I think it was like 2 years where Dad and I just didn't talk, just because I don't even remember what it was. I think he said something, and then I was like, forget it, like I don't want to talk to him anymore. So I would ignore calls, not answer emails, etc. And today it's like I don't even remember like
why that happened.
Right, why that was a thing.
And I remember a period of time where I was unable to see y'all due to parenting issues.
Yeah,
you know, and so go ahead.
And
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Right.
I don't know. It's just I don't think there's another word than that. It's challenging. It's challenging not to have two parents. And I think in any capacity, it's like there's a reason that it takes two to procreate. Like it's not just a one person's job.
Right.
I will say though, and I say this, I'm very open about my relationship with my dad and very open about our journey in general. Because I just feel as though, I just feel as though. No,
I'm shy from it at all. Okay, all right, yeah. Don't shade on me. Catch that now.
Just because I feel like when you are open about certain things, it creates the dialogue so people who are experiencing similar things also feel like they can talk about it. But for me, it's like I still am in amazement that Dad is home and that I'm living with Dad now. It's like it's mind-blowing to me. And then the fact that I truly do thank God, like even though those 10 years were very difficult and there are lots of times where it's like we would fall and I felt like the world was just not gonna like give in and like support us. But it's like I wouldn't give anything to take those 10 years back. Like I wouldn't be like, we should do a redo and have Dad home and not absent, because I don't think that I would be the same person that I am now if it wasn't for the physical absence. Not saying that I wanted you to not be there.
Right, I get that.
When things are removed, I think you learn sometimes how to stand on your own 2 feet. And I truly believe that I became my own person based off of having you removed physically from life.
Okay. I respect that, because in the sense, I was almost setting up your life potentially to be La La Land. I mean, as it relates.
I was spoiled. Siblings and I, we were very spoiled. To this day, like we are still spoiled.
Right.
So yeah, if you were home, I don't know what kind of person I would have been, to be frank.
Okay. I'm glad you're being frank to our people, family, and friends. But in all seriousness, note, people, and you're going to hear this time and time from me again, is the importance of first getting your mindset together. And then when you are in a physical relationship with the other person, because I'm not here to judge either way, and you decide to have a child or children, be mindful of that. In my opinion, the importance should be the child or children, not y'all, the two of y'all that's in the relationship. And that's just my take on it. But in all sincerity, and all the other guys and family members that you may know that's been incarcerated or in and out of prison, support system is extremely important. You know, we have to really get to that mindset where it takes a village to raise a family. And I think to a degree we got away from that because of so-called independence, and I could have this, I could have that, I could live here, I could live there. And again, I'm not here to judge all that. All I'm just giving you my thoughts of the importance of parenting, whether in prison or out of prison, is extremely important. Know your children as best as possible and have your children know you. Don't stay away from your faults, because your faults could be an example for them to grow from without having to experience them themselves. So know that. Don't duck your faults or try to act as if you're a perfect parent, because I don't believe it's perfect parents. I don't believe it's perfect people. That's why we all here under the realm of God, learning with our choices, and hopefully we make better choices every time. So with that being stated, I just want to thank everybody that's tuning in, tuned in. If y'all want a part 2 to this, we can. But due to time constraints, we had to wind down. We really ran over due to sponsorship. But anyway, any final remarks?
No, as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate y'all and love all of your support and encouragement and your dialogue. Happy February, happy Black History Month. Like many said, this is just our anniversary month. We celebrate our Black history every month. Just especially this month. So make sure you're just going out there, spreading love, great mindsets, etc.
Okay, I will end on that. Thank y'all for joining in. See y'all next week. I appreciate all the love and support. Continue the dialogue with us. Forgive me if I didn't say your name this time. It was moving quite fast, and this is a subject that's dear to me. So again, the book will be coming soon, the black print, so we can have some type of format to follow in parenting. Have a great day. Love y'all. Peace.
Love y'all.